Welcome to Annuity News Now. An Illinois dispute over whether indexed annuities are securities is heading to court. An attorney for two Illinois advisors said he filed an Illinois Circuit Court for a stay of an administrative order that suggests the indexed annuities the advisors sold are securities. My guest is James Mumford. He's First Deputy Commissioner of the Iowa Insurance Division. He is also is a Securities Administrator, which is the lead position for the Iowa Securities Bureau. Last year, he spent significant time fighting Rule 151A, which was later defeated with the Dodd-Frank bill. Jim, good to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
So, what else can we talk about here? It appears that this sort of order isn't necessarily something that will dramatically change the landscape again yet or raise the issue significantly yet, but what do you think is going to happen here?
I hate to speculate. I think that the fact that the Illinois Securities Department talked about indexed annuities as securities was tantamount to dicta in a court decision. I think the issue in this case was strictly the fiduciary duties of the investment advisor and his their failure to follow up on the fiduciary duties. I looked at that order, I've read it several times, and it looks to me like the real issue was the replacement of a variable annuity with another product, and whether that product was a security or a bank product or insurance product didn't really matter. It was the fiduciary duty that the Illinois Department was going against. I'm somewhat surprised that they spent so much time talking about index annuities when I thought most of that wasn't relevant to the issue that they were trying to get at. Mm-hmm. I've had several people ask me about responses, et cetera, to the Illinois Department, and my take has been it's not an issue. It was purely voluntarily dicta by the Illinois Securities Department. Why they put that in, I have no idea.
Yeah, it's just the language here. It's, I suppose, in one sense, it's nothing official. But I guess the fear here is that other states will look at this and begin to reopen the whole issue. I mean, this is an issue where I think Jack Marion, who we talked to last week, said that advisors have to really separate and define what exactly that they're doing as advisors and as agents, because this really was sort of a fishing trip on an unrelated problem that just happened to turn this up.
Right. It pretty much reinforces what I've told a lot of people in the last year. Don't become investment advisors if you think that's going to protect you from securities regulators, because it's going to open the door for securities regulators to actually look at what you're doing and enforce the fiduciary the standards required by an investment advisor. So for those producers that think they can get by solving their securities issues by becoming investment advisors, do just the opposite. Mm-hmm. I think this case is a good point of that. I think the interesting case on this one would be if the order's upheld, mm-hmm. but the insurance license isn't taken because Illinois Securities Bureau regulators can't take the insurance license. If the parties go back and sell indexed annuities under their insurance license and insurance products, it'd be interesting to see what the Illinois securities regulators do, because mm-hmm. that would bring the issue to the right forum, I believe.
Right. Would you agree, as I mentioned to Jack Marion, it sounds like in a lot of ways fixed indexed products tend to increase in complexity, and now there are certain things on there like income riders that are also complex, and that it's possible to assume that many advisors perhaps selling these products don't completely understand them, and you can get into trouble because of that.
A couple things. One, I think just being on the security side and the insurance side, I think all products on all sides are becoming much more complex. I don't think it's just the indexed annuities. I think, or fixed annuities or variable. I think across the board, the products are becoming very complex, very hard for sellers of those products to understand them if they have a bundle of products they are trying to sell. On the index side, I would say we do see some indexes being used that I personally don't care for, but I think with the new NAIC suitability model and then the annuity disclosure and illustrations model that's being finished up at the NAIC this year, that the market conduct of the producers on the fixed annuity side is greatly strengthened. I think that's being proven with the downward trend on complaints, especially on the index annuity side, where we've forced index annuity writers to take more care in the market conduct side. You talked about education. Iowa does have the rule that you have to have 4 hours of indexed annuity training before you can sell indexed annuities. And then under the new NAIC model, there's a requirement for 4 hours of general annuity training and then a specific product training where the producer has to have adequate knowledge of the product before he recommends that product. So I think there's been a regulatory effort, at least, to assure that the producers know what the products are that they sell.
So what else is new and exciting in the Iowa Insurance Division?
Oh, I think there's lots of things new and exciting. One, with the commissioner gone so much because of the NAIC, we have to fend more for ourselves. But I think with our staff, we do quite well because we have very little turnover. We got a lot of expertise. I think the interesting thing about the Iowa Insurance Division is, since we do both securities and insurance under the same roof, and actually our licensing people license both insurance and securities, that we check all the databases when we appoint somebody for securities or insurance. Plus, if we pull a securities license for bad conduct, we automatically pull the insurance license and vice versa. So in that context, it makes it a lot easier for us, I think, to control some of the actions of the producers. I would encourage states where the two regulatory bodies are separate, they need to work closely together to get the bad guys out of the business. And only by working together can that happen.
Great point. He is James Mumford, First Deputy Commissioner of the Iowa Insurance Division, and also is Securities Administrator, the lead position for the Iowa Securities Bureau. Jim, it's a great pleasure. Thanks for taking the time today.
Thanks for the opportunity, Scott.
And I'm Scott Drake. You're watching Annuity News Now.